We welcome you to South Philadelphia, the NovaCare Complex, our continuing coverage of the Philadelphia Eagles 2021 training camp presented by DraftKings. Hello, everyone. I'm Eagles insider Dave Spadaro, along with Fran Duffy. Fran, we are just 2 days away from the preseason opener, and look who's back at practice. Isaac Seumalo, which is a good sign. Get that offensive line healthy. We don't know exactly how much work he'll put in today, but he's got his helmet, and he's in pads to the extent that the Eagles are in pads. And after missing a couple of weeks here with a hamstring injury, getting the starting left guard back, Fran, that's a very good thing.
It's huge. Obviously, continuity is so important along the offensive line. You like to have those guys put some work in together before the regular season. On Sunday at Lincoln Financial Field, we saw Brandon Brooks re-enter the lineup. He got back onto the field in a limited capacity, participated in individual drills, did not do any teamwork. So we'll continue to monitor that today and see if he takes part in some team drills before Thursday.
So what we want to talk about today is, hey, the Eagles have a preseason game on Thursday night against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, to date in this training camp, the Eagles have not had a single live period, which means taking a ball carrier to the ground. So the first time that they will do so in an extended period, Fran, is going to be Thursday. We'll find out where the Eagles are in terms of their technique in tackling. And you may think, well, gosh, players just wake up and know how to tackle. Yeah, but, and that's why the Eagles have been working on all of these technique drills, thud drills, save the body, but make sure that you continue to stress the fundamentals.
Yeah, it's just like anything else that you do. When you haven't done it for 8 months, it's good to get back into the swing of things. So it'll be good to see the defense and the special teams units get out there, get some live reps. The offensive line getting some live reps as well on Thursday night, blocking guys against their will. They're not letting up in the middle of practice.
Yeah, we talked about Isaac Seumalo. We've also got Brandon Brooks on the field. We've got some Josh Sweat, who's really been coming on strong, and this is a good segue to the unofficial, and we do stress, unofficial Eagles depth chart heading into the preseason. There you go. There's Brandon Brooks as he touches his toes. Frank, can you touch your toes without bending your knees?
I have not tried in a while. I would say that rather than touch my toes, I've gotten pretty good at picking up toddler toys off the ground without having to bend down too far. So I'll go with that as my litmus test.
So let's talk about the depth chart. A couple of interesting notes here. What it really means is not a whole lot. So let's stress that, because the preseason games, the 2 joint practices, that's really going to tell the tale. There's 2 starters, indisputably. Darius Big Play Slay. Oh, I wish we could hear it. And Fletcher Cox. Derek Barnett, Josh Sweat listed as co-starters at defensive end. Whoever starts, rest assured, both will get a lot of reps.
Both will play a lot, yep.
Josh Sweat's my candidate for player who's taken it to the next level in this camp. Agreed?
I would say so. He's definitely on the short list. If you were trying to come up with one name, he would be one of the first names you would bring up in terms of a guy that's ready to take that next step into that next tier.
And as we kind of try to define what Jonathan Gannon is doing defensively, it's interesting to note that, and again, this is very unofficial, the starting Sam linebacker, the first team Sam linebacker, Jannard Avery, who is a pass rusher. So, I mean, look, what percentage will the Eagles actually have a Sam linebacker on the field this year in base? Yes. But it appears to me they're going to play a lot of nickel, a lot of dime. Ryan Kerrigan listed as a defensive end. I thought maybe he might be a Sam linebacker, but I guess they want him at the defensive end. Fran, on the other side, he and Brandon Graham are 1-2 there. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I was very interested to see the usage of those guys, too, coming into the summer. There's been a lot of talk about, when you saw Jannard Avery and Joe Ostman move to linebacker, and you saw the selection of Patrick Johnson, him being tagged as a linebacker. I think interesting just to see what the usage is of these players, how many of those guys make it to the final 53. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch over the next few weeks.
Yeah, and we look at Jordan Mailata there. Jordan Mailata listed as a co-starter along with Andre Dillard at left tackle. We'll find out who actually gets this start on Thursday against Pittsburgh. And then starting tight ends, plural, co-starters, Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert. No surprise there.
Yeah, one of 3 sets of co-starters. You mentioned left tackle. We talked about defensive end, and the other obviously being tight end. Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert both have gotten plenty of reps with the ones, and I would envision both of those guys getting plenty of reps with the starting offense in the regular season as well.
And then one other note that, I mean, look, what does it mean, okay? But you're starting running back Miles Sanders, number one, first team running back Miles Sanders. Second team running back, Jordan Howard.
It's interesting.
Third team running back, Boston Scott. And then Kenny Gainwell. Or maybe it's Kenny Gainwell and then Boston Scott. I think actually
I always struggle with those on these depth charts.
Yeah. And then Kerryon Johnson after that, Josh Huntley. I mean, look, these games are going to tell the tale. But I do think in the case of Jordan Howard, the indication to me would be that he's in really great shape, and the Eagles are going to take a long, long look at him in preseason games. I mean, Jordan Howard is a motivated guy. What kind of shape am I in? What is my career arc here? Things have been difficult for him since suffering that stinger injury in 2019.
Yeah. And he talked about it this offseason that, honestly, he thought after last season ended, after the 2020 season, he didn't really get that many calls. He kind of thought this might be it for him. And so when you get that next opportunity that you feel could be your last, you're going to try and get the most of it. And it certainly seems like he's treating it that way.
Joe Flacco, your second-team quarterback, interested to see, and we just heard from Nick Sirianni, how the playing time will be divided on Thursday. Everybody's going to play. Everybody who is healthy is going to play, according to Coach Nick. How much they play, TBD. Any guesses? I'm going a couple series starters.
Yeah, that would be my guess, right? I mean, I think everybody's kind of used to what the old rhythm had been with 4 preseason games of the starters on both sides getting a series or 2 week 1, then you ramp it up to the first quarter for week 2, you get the first half week 3, and then nobody plays in week 4. With a 3-game sample now here in the preseason, I'm interested to see how does that change the rhythm. But my guess is week 1's not going to change. I think it'll be a series or 2.
You're looking live at the NovaCare Complex. The Eagles' 2021 training camp coverage continues, courtesy of DraftKings, presented by DraftKings. We thank them very much. It's been great to take a peek behind the curtain here. Dave Spadero along with Fran Duffy on this hazy, humid Tuesday morning, just 2 days away from the Eagles opening the preseason against the Steelers. And then we really kind of take a bunch of different turns here with the New England Patriots coming to town next week ahead of their preseason game at Lincoln Financial Field. And then the week after that, the Eagles going to the home of the New York Jets up in, I guess, central New Jersey, northern central New Jersey.
Florsham.
Yes. Something
correct.
like that. Troy Hills or some sort of area like that. For 4 days, we'll be up there covering the Eagles' joint practices and the preseason game and the preseason finale against the Jets. So that will be a lot of fun to see. And by then we'll have a pretty good sense, Fran. I always believe after 3 preseason games, you have a pretty good sense. With 2 joint practices, a couple of preseason games, the cream generally rises to the top pretty quickly. And at that point, you're just kind of going, okay, who's going to fill up these final few roster spots?
And honestly, what we're seeing here with these special teams drills, the different circuits going on here on the field, a lot of what happens in those final few roster spots will be determined in this third phase of the game. Who are the guys that are putting out the best reps on special teams that play their way on or off the roster? This is going to be a big, big part of that because as we've discussed here in this live stream every single day, when you get to the bottom of the roster, it's all about the more you can do, and special teams becomes a big part of that. Not just what you can do on offense or what you can do on defense, but can you be a contributor on what they call the 4 core special teams units. So kickoff, kick return, punt, and then we're seeing the punt return units get work here, the punt block drills and some return drills as well.
That's exactly what this is, a punt block drill. Get off the line of scrimmage, get to the punter, and make sure you have the right angle as you extend your hands out and try to get a piece of that ball. And so they're going to do, I guess, a bunch of different drills as we work on the special teams. And so I would say a lot of the emphasis in this camp has obviously been fundamentals, a lot of red zone work, Fran.
Yep.
A lot of red zone work and a lot of special teams work. I agree with you. I think that Nick really understands that, hey, in the NFL, close games every week, the little plays in the third phase in the red zone, that's the difference between winning and losing.
Yeah, when they talk about it's a game of inches. And football, whether you're talking about on-field success or even when you're looking at player acquisition and team building, it's all about trying to find edges, trying to find those little margins where you can get the edge on the competition. And certainly those special team snaps, those red zone snaps, those are high leverage situations that can make or break a football game and change the momentum and the outcome. So I think when you look at how much the Eagles are spending time on situational football, I think that caters right to that thought process.
Our live coverage of the 2021 Philadelphia Eagles training camp continues, presented by DraftKings. We're live at the NovaCare Complex in South Philadelphia. We thank all the fans who came out on Sunday to the first of 2 open practices. It was really, really great, electric, tons of energy. You guys all had a big-time party, and the players and the coaches, man, I'll tell you, smiles when they came off the field, they missed the energy. So thank you very much. We expect a big crowd on Thursday against the Steelers and the following week against the Patriots. And then it's a huge weekend for the Philadelphia Eagles with the Eagles Autism Challenge on Saturday, August 21st, and the second of 2 open to the public practices on August 22nd at Lincoln Financial Field. Make sure you tune in, PhiladelphiaEagles.com, and get your information. I just think practices, Fran, at the stadium for families, you know, it's a great, low-key, low-pressure, fun time. Get the kids excited about the Eagles. Most of those little guys aren't exactly sure what they're watching, but they're having a really good time.
Yeah, exactly right. And obviously, look, the other night, you had big plays on offense. You had big plays on defense. If you came out looking to see what this team would look like, you got a little bit of a sense of that on Sunday. You saw the passing game, work downfield, big plays from, Quez Watkins. And on defense, you saw some interceptions. You saw some big plays. So I thought that you really got a sense of some of the playmakers on both sides of the ball on Sunday night over at Lincoln Financial Field.
It was kind of fun being on the field for that, and the big play to Quez Watkins. The whistle actually blew before the throw was made, and I think Nick addressed that this morning, saying that his assistant Tyler Scudder may have been a little early blowing the whistle, because when you have a quarterback like Jalen, you've got to give him some allowance for wriggling out of any sort of pressure. And he showed his arm, rolling left, firing the ball down the field. And Quez making another play, Fran.
Yep.
He's been making a lot of them in this camp. What does he do in the preseason to take it to the next level?
I think when you looked at Quez Watkins coming out of Southern Miss, okay, this is a guy that had outstanding talent. He's not a short guy. He's tall, he's long, and he is explosive. So he eats up grass fast, and he gets downfield. You talk about how far downfield he was. He can get there in a hurry, and even when you go back and watch him, he flashed that ability to make catches like that in college where he'd go up and win over defenders. The things you wanted to see him improve on was everything before that point. His releases off the line of scrimmage, defeating press coverage, his route running. He had a lot to clean up there. And so year 1, year 2, year 3, those off seasons, you want to see guys like that make those jumps. And it certainly seems like so far here going into year 2, he has made jumps in terms of not having to think so much out there. And the route running aspect of things starting to become more and more comfortable in that area. And that's going to show up at the catch point.
Referring back to the very unofficial depth chart, at wide receiver, you've got Devontae Smith and you've got Jalen Reagor listed as the number 1s on the outside. Greg Ward, number 1 in the slot. Travis Fulgham, number 2. Quez Watkins, a number 2. And J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Fran, listed as the number 2 inside receiver. I'd like to see him get some looks inside against the Steelers and against the Patriots. I like the idea of a big target from the slot. I think it's very effective to create good matchups.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that for a handful of years.
Jordan Matthews.
Yeah, Jordan Matthews, exactly right. Where you have that big target in the middle of the field, it definitely can help you. And depending on what the Eagles try and do at tight end, I think you can start to factor that into those numbers. I think that JJ has that kind of skill set to be that middle of the field target as a wide receiver working from the slot. So definitely it's something that I'll be watching here through these 3 preseason games.
Yeah, really good. The depth chart means a whole lot of nothing.
Exactly.
But I will say that it's really fun to take a look at it and kind of match it up with what we see on Thursday night. Because, look, it's going to be all about the game. It's all going to be all about playing against another team. There has been no live period here at Eagles training camp where players are taken to the ground. It's been physical. It's been great tempo. It's been intense. It's been excellent competition. But we haven't seen anybody sustained for a period tackling to the ground. That will all change on Thursday, Fran. So let's count the when you're watching the game. Important things to watch, Fran, for me and for you. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
False starts.
Yep.
Mental mistakes. You want to see them at a minimum, correct?
No question. You'd like the operational stuff, so delay of game, false starts, offside penalties, illegal formations. You want to get all of that stuff and make sure you see it the least amount as possible. And if you do see it, let's get it out of the way now. So by the time we get to week 1, they're all out of our system.
Right, Nick Sirianni will call the plays. He'll relay that to Shane Steichen, the offensive coordinator, who will then relay it to the quarterback on the field. Another part, we want to make sure that we do not miss tackles. All right, it's all about form. It's about certainly anticipation. It's about great technique. So you haven't tackled here. Let's see. I mean, again, for the first time since I've been here, no live periods. What does that mean when the preseason starts? Defensively, no bust coverage, and it's going to be all basic stuff.
Yep.
But the big thing to me is tackles and getting off the ball quickly.
Yep, you want to make sure that make the most of these live reps, and I think that is something that certainly the defensive staff, and as I mentioned earlier, the special team staff, you're looking for to get as much out of these live reps in the preseason as possible. And the live practices that start, or the joint practices rather, that start next week, they will go a long way in that effect as well. But still, you're not getting that live tackling to the ground that you would get in these preseason games.
Individual drills here. Ball carriers, hold on to the football. If you're losing your balance, don't lose the ball, okay? Always focus on high and tight with the football. I don't think he wanted to get touched there. I don't think Nick Mullins would want anything to do with that boxing mitt or whatever the heck that contraption is. The boxing mitt that took a little beating right there.
Yeah, it's feeling a little bit.
Yeah, it's been a few weeks here in training camp, so the apparatus needs to be checked again. Live coverage of the Philadelphia Eagles training camp here at the NovaCare Complex, presented by DraftKings. Dave Spadaro, Fran Duffy.
Might have to stick that thing on the injury report. That boxing.
Well, you know the league's going to be watching that, of course. And we've seen this drill several times before for the defensive linemen. Stay low, get off the football, and finish at the point of attack.
And for people that have been watching us since day one here in training camp, you might be looking at this and say, man, they're doing a lot of the same drills every single day. There's a reason for that. You are trying to make this all muscle memory for all of these players. And so all the things that you're seeing, those are the points that the position coaches, the coordinators, and head coach Nick Sirianni, they are trying to drive home to each of these groups. Whether it's ball security, get off, they're trying to make it so that it is muscle memory. It is second nature. So now when it's time to get into a game, you're not even thinking about, I've got to get off the ball fast, or I better hold the football high and tight, or I need to get in and out of my breaks fast as a defensive back. All those drills that we're seeing every single day, those are the most important ones in the position coach's mind. Agreed.
It is a game of repetition, Fran. People think it just snap your fingers comes together on Sunday. No. That's why Sunday is such emotional, for everybody, for all of us, because it's showtime.
Yep.
After a week of prep and really redundancy, like for us, now that there is a game every week other than the bye week, we know where we're going to be on every day. There's a routine. We now are in a rhythm instead of just kind of haphazardly going, all right, this practice is this time. And I really feel very good about now knowing where I'm going to be on Tuesday. I know tomorrow we've got a production meeting for the broadcast. The game on Thursday night broadcast on NBC 10 locally in Philadelphia, 7:30 kickoff. Make sure you're with us. I'm on the sidelines, Scott Graham and Ross Tucker in the broadcast booth. But we know that Thursday is the game day, and we know that Friday players are day off, and we know that Saturday the players come back. And so we know from now on what the schedule is going to be. And I think for everybody, including the players, there's some comfort in that. I always remember Andy Reid saying, we don't want any surprises during training camp. So you want it to be as vanilla as possible and as predictable as possible, and now we're into the routine.
Yeah, I think everybody kind of craves that routine. When it comes down to it, players, coaches, everybody, creatures of habit. You want to get into that routine and start to feel that level of comfort. Obviously, it's a little bit thrown off during the summer, during training camp, because games are on Thursdays for the most part instead of on Sundays, but you're still kind of getting into those pre-game rituals. You're getting into what a game week Tuesday, a game week Wednesday, a game week Thursday will all start to feel like. That all starts this week here for this football team.
Fran, the defensive backfield, we've got Darius Slay, we've got Steven Nelson on the outside, Avonte Maddox inside. At safety, listed again on the very unofficial depth chart, Kayvon Wallace joining Anthony Harris. Great opportunity for Kayvon Wallace, fourth-round draft pick last year, who didn't play a whole lot, played a little bit at the end there.
Yep.
Maybe he's jumped over Epps in terms of the playing time, but we'll see. Kayvon Wallace, great opportunity, Fran, for him to really take that next step.
Yeah, obviously we feel pretty good that Rodney McLeod is the starter once healthy and back in the lineup. But for now, I think you look at Kayvon Wallace. He has gotten the majority of the first team reps. Marcus Epps getting in there as well. We've seen Andrew Adams mixed in since he's been back on the field. But on the opening very unofficial depth chart, Kayvon Wallace listed as the starter. It's a good opportunity for him. Like you said, it's a new defensive scheme, so everybody in that secondary kind of starting from square one. What is he going to be able to bring to the field? This was a guy that was a 3.5-year starter down at Clemson, did a ton in that secondary. Such a great defense down there with the Clemson Tigers, and Kayvon Wallace trying to make an impact here in year 2 as a safety.
Yeah, and there's a lot to learn for young kids, and for him understanding the pro game coming out of Clemson, the great success of the Clemson program and national championships. With all of that, the NFL is still a different game, Fran.
Yep. No question.
There are men on the field, not 22-year-old kids. So it's a big difference. And he has the opportunity to really step up on Thursday night with Anthony Harris, who I'm looking forward to seeing playing, because I think Anthony's one of those players, and all of these veterans the Eagles have signed, they've got chips on their shoulder, Fran.
I laughed there for a second. I don't know if you saw right before these two guys went up to take the rep. Fletcher Cox pushed Brandon Graham and was like, no, I want to take this rep here with you as we start to get a feel for exactly how both of us are coming off the ball together at the same time.
You'd think after all these years they would know, but that's what's so great about training camp.
That's right.
That's what's so important. Who do we have here? Ridgeway, and who is that? I can't see.
That is Jaquan Bailey, the undrafted free agent from Iowa State.
Okay.
And that is Milton Williams over on the opposite side.
Yeah, Milton Williams. Oh, that's right. Okay, you're right. That was Milton Williams. And it was not Ridgeway. Who was it?
It was Milton Williams, and it was
Bailey?
Yes, Jaquan Bailey.
Okay.
Now we've got Marlon Tui-Pelotu on the far side, and Raekwon Williams, last year's undrafted free agent from Michigan State. Here
2 young players who really are going to be worth watching on Thursday night in the preseason games. These are the kind of positions that you really – look, the defense hasn't had a chance to tackle. So these are the positions where if you make some plays, you really flash – everybody in the league is going to notice.
That's right.
Everybody in the league is going to notice. Footwork drills.
Yep. I was going to say, everybody gets that tape for preseason. All 32 teams will be closely monitoring everybody on each other's roster.
I like this drill. Reach in and make the play. Darius Slay is probably saying, why didn't I make that interception? Got to get there earlier. Maybe that's what it is. A little quicker off the ball, whoever that was.
That's interesting.
Hargrave?
Different little wrinkle here. So you're coming off the ball, and you're trying to play through a little bit of contact. They're trying to incorporate a little bit more of what you're going to see in a game day. Obviously, not quite the same with those big pads leaning on you, but you're trying to play through a little bit more contact for these guys as they're coming off the ball on the defensive line.
It was interesting. Prior to practice, I was saying hello to Hollis Thomas, former Eagles defensive tackle. And this is a new drill the Eagles are working on here. Fran, you were on that. But the way that Hollis used to practice versus the way these guys practice. These older players, they come back and they go, what in the world is this? And these are the rules. Yep. The NFLPA and the NFL agree to these rules, and you've got to be creative simulating game opportunities and game situations and using inanimate objects like these big pads that are jerry-rigged to have arms and a body.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this is what the players, this is what they want. It's practices that are built in this way. As we see, they're going to have to try and mimic. You're not going to get those live reps, so how can you best mimic that? How can you best get guys to get used to playing through contact? That's a drill where they're clearly trying to work that in.
We've got the overhead view, training camp 2021 Philadelphia Eagles style, presented by DraftKings here at the NovaCare Complex. No practice tomorrow for you. The Eagles will be going through a walkthrough as they get ready for Thursday night's preseason opener against the Pittsburgh Steelers. We've got coverage for you beginning at 7 o'clock right here. PhiladelphiaEagles.com, our official team app, and our social channels, our kickoff show. So make sure you tune in there as we get you set and give you a little taste of what it's like at Lincoln Financial Field. I think it's going to be a good crowd. I think everybody's really curious about what this football team is all about because, heck, we just haven't seen a whole lot.
It's always fun, and we always look forward to that first preseason game. It's just going to be great to be able to see these guys compete in these live reps, as we've been talking about. I can't wait, even though we may only see the starters, the impact players for a series or two. I can't wait to see these guys on the back end of the roster as well all compete on Thursday night.
And we're going to get some routes versus air in just a moment here. One of my favorite drills as I have emceed the live practices, the open practices to the public. I always say routes on air. And all the football guys, just for over the years, they've just thought that is the funniest thing in the world. Like I'm making a big deal about routes on air. But it is a big deal because everything's a big deal, except the depth chart. The depth chart is not a big deal. The depth chart is really, honestly, like just putting names down. And then it really sorts itself out through the course of the preseason action.
I laugh every single summer. There are, the first unofficial depth chart will come out, and media will ask a coach. This is all around the league. We'll ask a coach about it at a press conference that day, and they'll say, "I haven't even looked at it yet." The PR staff will put it together. I haven't even looked at it.
Yeah, because it's all about with 3 preseason games. Travis Fulgham, catch that ball. With 3 preseason games, and he made a great catch on Sunday night on the sidelines. 3 preseason games and 2 joint practices, you really have plenty of opportunities. And the cream separates. So lots going on. Not here. A different kind of training camp here. Practices high tempo, maybe not as long as we've seen in the past. And knocking on wood, that has served the Eagles well through a couple of weeks here.
We see, as you mentioned, the routes on air. We've got receivers and tight ends working with the quarterbacks here on the far side of the field.
Nick Mullins, looking forward to seeing him. And there's a guy who's kind of caught my eye. Mike Walker had the injuries.
I agree.
A slot receiver, interesting guy to look at.
I think
little experience with Jacksonville.
Yep, a little bit of experience with Jacksonville. He came in, and I thought he was one of the receivers that flashed early on. Then he had that injury, now working his way back. Preseason games will be big for Michael Walker.
And the thing about it, with a player like Michael Walker, you say, oh, okay, well, he's back in plenty of time. But you really want to demonstrate to the coaches that you're going to be there every week. So even if you're out for 3 or 4 or 5 days, that's a big deal to coaches and to players and to personnel, because they don't want to invest in a player and give a roster spot and have that roster spot always tenuous because the player's health is not where it needs to be.
Roster spots are tough to come by. There's 53 of them, but they are very difficult to come by. So if another player can flash and show that they can, hey, I can be someone that you can rely on here over a 17-game season, that's going to be tough to pass on.
Oh, Fran, I can't tell you how much I missed preseason last year. I mean,
I know.
I know by the end of the third quarter I'm going to be saying, let's get to the regular season. But I miss the football. I miss seeing the competition. I miss seeing how the roster shapes out. I enjoy kind of going down the roster and saying, okay, he's going to make it. He's going to have a tough time making it. He's a practice squad player. And then I kind of look back and see how close I was.
But even not even just for this rookie class, but even for last year's rookie class, I think it's so important to be able to get, because you mentioned we saw some Kayvon Wallace last year down the stretch, but it wasn't a ton. Now we'll see. We might see a decent amount of Kayvon Wallace here this week. You go down last year's rookie class and say, all right, let's take a look at some of these young guys, and then obviously this group as well. We'll see extended looks of Teron Jackson and Marlon Tuipulotu, and you just go right down the list. I'm really excited to see what this group looks like in extended action on Thursday night.
And keep in mind, the coaching staff is going to play this straight. All right,
yes.
They're going to play this as vanilla, as will the Steelers, as will the Patriots, as will the Jets. You just play it straight. Interesting, Fran, that third preseason game. I mean, let's look ahead just for a second. How much fun are we going to have looking at Zach Wilson? I read the reports of Zach Wilson's first, I think it was the inter-squad scrimmage they had.
Right.
Through 2 interceptions. And like the big mention was, and there were a lot of fans in the stands, that Jets fans didn't boo, thankfully, that the kid is going to have a chance to kind of grow through it. But alarming for the Jets that he got kind of panned in his first inter-squad scrimmage.
We'll see him in the regular season as well. The Eagles playing the Jets. That 17th game that was added, they will take on the New York Jets, which will be interesting. But it's anytime you see those young players, you're going to face adversity, and it's the same thing with Jalen. He faced adversity last year. He will face adversity this year. It's about how you overcome that, how you fight through that. That's going to be something I'm sure that staff will be looking at. Every staff in the NFL is going to be doing that with all of their young players.
We got the red jerseyed quarterbacks. That red jersey means do not touch, but you know that by now. As they go through their warm-ups, we show you a little peek behind the curtain here. Every day we're able We had you on Sunday night. No practice yesterday for the players. Wow, great catch there by Travis Fulgham. We didn't show that, but absolutely great catch. Good way to end it here. Well, listen, we're done for the day. We are back Thursday. Eagles, Steelers, the kickoff show, 7 o'clock. Make sure you're with us. Until then, for Fran Duffy, I'm Eagles insider Dave Spadaro. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Fly, Eagles, fly. Have yourselves a great Eagles. Wait, I screwed it up. Have yourselves a great Eagles day, and as always, fly, Eagles, fly.